like if you didn't have the chickens at your house, the chicken
No,
yard?
they, actually, the town is paid for by the state, but there's a person that comes around once a year that documents all the livestock in the town, and they send it to MDR. And then MDR has a record now of where they don't, you got 50 chickens or 100 chickens. Okay, they realize that a lot of the livestock, just like with hives, fluctuates in numbers, but they know that that's a place to start.
It's like a yard, a chicken yard.
Yeah.
Massachusetts is not very efficient at that, because I've kept chickens for 40 years on my property and no one's ever come and looked at it. I know about 4 other chicken yards in my town that have never been registered, so not very thoroughly done. But it's a great idea if there's notice going out about some kind of illness that chicken keepers ought to know about.
That must be the individual inspector, because in our town, Brock is very efficient when it's here, religiously every year. And I'm very happy with that.
So
The
it varies.
chickens, the ducks, the geese.
Yeah.
And years ago, because I kept bees for over 50 years, I used to get the bee inspector all the time. And that's changed.
So just like Randy, right?
Yeah.
So are you saying you would agree with the registration or not? I just want to make
I'm personally in
favor of registration, okay.
But I would like the capacity, obviously, I have more than one location.
Okay.
And we move things around, we might have to.
That's what I was gonna. So one more second before we move on. I didn't catch your first name.
Grable, like in Hansel and.
No way.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
So, but what are we talking about here? Registering a beekeeper, an apiary, or or what?
I think we need to register them.
The only thing the statute allows you to register, I mean, again, if the regs are gonna implement the statute, we gotta go back to the statute. And the statute says, may require by regulation the registration of all bee colonies kept within the Commonwealth and their location by the owners and caretakers thereof. So they're talking about colonies and location. The statute does not talk about requiring the registration of beekeepers.
And that would mean
Only
that every time
indirectly.
you did a split, in other words, you're supposed to
Well-
register the new nuke.
Well,
It is.
it depends on what the regulation says. If the regulation said that you had to register all colonies that you have as of May 1st of every year, then, you do your survey on May 1st and you send in your registration. It all depends on what the regulation would say.
Sure, yeah.
We
It
do
would
that
all
in
depend
Connecticut
on-
currently. In October, we have to have our paperwork in with a little map that shows where our hives are, and we send it down to the state, and that's it. I mean, if
Where is
there's
this?
something- In Connecticut. We're actually from Connecticut, but we're in Essex County beekeepers. But
So
Connecticut's
again,
mandatory.
all these potential, regardless of whether you're for or against registration, some of these issues could be dealt with in the particulars of the regulation. Like saying October 1st or May 1st or something like that, so that you could comply with a registration regulation and still not have to worry about what happens if you make a split or what happens if a colony dies.
Once a year, you send your paperwork in with all your new
And so
hives.
in the course of the year.
If it's not real time, what's the value of it? I mean, if
Well,
it is real time, it's ridiculous, and if it's not, then it has no value.
Well, no, I wouldn't say it has no value. I'd say it provides a starting point for the apiary inspectors.
Most definitely. If there's only 2 hives listed one year, but I show up and there's 3, then it is what it is when he gets there. He does the inspection for all 3 instead, but at least it lets you know the address and where the hives are, and that there may be a beehive there, even if it's one on the paperwork and you show up and there's multiples.
Yeah, the fact is, if you register a hive, you are registering the beekeeper.
Right.
There's got to be an address for who sent this in. I mean,
Right.
so
What
in
I'm
fact,
saying-
you're doing that.
So you're indirectly registering a beekeeper,
Right.
but it's only in the course of registering a colony in its location.
I agree with you. I mean, your reading of the law is correct.
Well,
I mean, no question.
From what you read, Tom, it sounds to me like when it says location, you could register a hive or an apiary by town or by county. It all depends on what the regulations say in terms of how you implement it. So I don't have the statute in front of me, but it seems to me like you probably could write regulations that essentially are registering the beekeeper and the general location without getting really specific about numbers of hives. Perhaps you'd have to have numbers. I'm not looking at the statute. So, I mean, I just think the more intrusive you make it feel to the beekeeper, the less compliance you're going to have. So that's really the goal here, is to get people to participate, right?
Right.
So
There has to be a balance.
So I understand what you're saying about you can only write your regs within what the statute says, but I think from what I heard you read, it sounds like you could probably write the regulations so that you're implementing in a fairly general way. It doesn't say that there's a mandatory registration, or it says there could be.
No, it says may require by regulation.
May require. So it doesn't even mandate that MDR has a mandatory.
That's right.
So.
And at this point, there is no regulation saying you need to register your
So
hive.
for that matter, you could write regulations that would create a voluntary registration.
May require by regulation.
But it says,
Yeah.
by regulation, the registration of all bee colonies. That's the part that's what's problematic.
Yes.
You know, when did that come into play?
The regulations are where you get specific about it.
See, the other issue we run into is she felt violated that her hives were inspected and she wasn't there.
Well, she
We
should have
don't
been
know
contacted at the
the
beginning,
contact
at the start
information.
point. That actually is in the law right now, saying that the inspector should give their credentials when they want to come on your property. So she should never have had that happen to begin with.
Well, let's say you're.
And further, I miss out on a learning opportunity. I mean, if I'm really trying to learn to be a better beekeeper, I want to be there when the inspector is there. Like, I don't
Talk
know.
to that property owner.
Well, so, anyways,
Then they contact you.
before Tom read what he did about the statute, I just wanted to echo what Glenn and other folks said about, I'd be more in favor of registering the beekeeper in your general location. I mean, a lot of beekeepers get pretty secretive about where their bee yards are.
And that's the
Wants that on a
delicate
list
balance.
somewhere.
Right.
So again, we want to make it, we want to incentivize people to participate in this, not make it appear as though it's too overarching or too intrusive, otherwise people aren't going to participate.
Right, and because the statute just generally says may require by regulation, I think you have that ability to be flexible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure where I stand in terms of mandatory registration. I think that would push some people away as well.
But the other issue that we brought up at the beginning of this meeting is there's a lot of people learning beekeeping every year. Thousands of people, all right? Different organizations treat their bee school list differently. Okay, Worcester County is very open to inspections, and Ken is able to get that list and go inspect those people. Essex County wasn't so favorable with you, right, Anita? They told her to go find them on her own. Okay, so, you know, that's the other issue too. You have a lot of bee schools being taught, private, and by the county organizations. And so where does the privacy go to that there? You know, that's something that you have to understand, that the outlook on, like what Dick said earlier, you're only as healthy as your neighbor's bees, and that's the concept that Worcester County has always taken, and they've been very open with the apiary inspectors. Hey, here's the list of where the new beekeepers are, but other counties are not as open with that.
We've just gone through this in Lincoln County. It's just a quick test. We were working with Devin Clark. I think, Kim, you talked to him from UMass. I'm helping him out with gathering surveys and things like that. Basically, registration of your beehives to try and get some information to him to do on that GIS mapping project. And it's been hard enough to get 40 responses from our entire club. We put it out 3 or 4 times now. We've got a website. We've got forums at every class. And nobody wants to give up the information no matter what right now. So just an interesting...
But Bristol County has 2 cities it's illegal to keep bees in.
And
there's nowhere, and you know where they're going to tell you where they are.
Right.
I happen to know because I assist beekeepers from my olden days, and I'm one of the mentors that goes out and smokes for disease. If foul brood comes in, you'll know. But there is no way. People live in those cities. They're swearing fines, everything at these people. What are you going to do? I've been asked to fix this with the college. The dean and the president says, we've got to fix this. And this is one of the projects I'm working on now. This is not going to be easy to fix. My job isn't staked on it, but another complication and stuff. And one of these actually borders on Rhode Island. And you can't see the line. Cities go like this, and here's Rhode Island, here's Mass.